Hey there, my name is Chris Acton with Acton Creative, and this is a handwoven experience. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about when to incorporate a replacement heddle and when to simply rethread your project. So let's start right at the top here, friends. When you look at your project here, the sequence that your warp yarns go through the shafts is called the threading, right? And one of the best places to double check your work is right before you're getting ready to throw a shuttle. So I always recommend that you pause at this stage and lift things up. See if the spacing looks right. Is this what you expected? Lift different shafts, see if it looks appropriate. And if you find a spot where you're like, oh no, these two warp yarns are in the wrong spot, then we need to talk about what do we do about fixing them here in the shafts. And my friends, one of the nicest, easiest ways to do that is to use a replacement heddle. Now, this is what my replacement heddles typically look like. I have a safety pin on top and bottom, and then you can't see it very well with the camera, but there's a series of knots there that makes an eye in the middle. Boy, I can't get that apart. There we go. See that little eye right there? So the idea then is that I can easily take this replacement heddle and I can clip it into whichever shaft that I want. And that helps me move my yarns around without actually having to undo and redo a whole bunch of them. Now, there's a lot of different ways to make replacement heddles, and this is just one of them. If you've never made them before, I have a great episode that I'll refer you back to so that you can check it out for yourself. But there's lots of solutions here for how to make a replacement heddle. But let's talk about when you want to use them and when you might as well just stop and rethread a section of your project. First of all, if you have an area in your project where you have one or two yarns that are just out of place, like you were just daydreaming or something, and they are just on the wrong shaft, stop at this point, pull them out of your knot here, move them around, clip in your replacement heddles, and put them in the right place. It is just that easy, honestly. Here's the other scenario where I've used replacement heddles is if I have a project that's much bigger than this and I didn't quite count how many heddles I need. Ugh, don't you hate it when that happens? When you're just short a heddle or two. Instead of trying to do the whole MacGyvering and trying to wiggle in more heddles, there are many times I just pull out a few of my replacement heddles and put them in that instance. So if you have small things, friends, don't stop and redo the whole thing. Just pull out a couple replacement heddles and get in there and use what you've got so that you can fix it and it'll give you the results that you're looking for. So let's talk about when a replacement heddle is probably not going to be enough. If you look at your project and you look at your spacing and you're like, oh, like I have messed up here and this whole third or half of the project is all off. Friends, that's probably a good spot to come back here, undo it, and just redo it. Now, I'm going to put a big ol' asterisk here because everyone has a different tolerance for, let's say, accuracy, right? And I, as a teacher, like to always ask the question, is it going to bother you? Because if the fact that this whole third of your project is off by one, if that's not going to faze you, friends, or if you're like, I'm learning, this is no big deal, this is a little kind of design quirk, leave it in, carry on, go do your thing, and do not worry about it. The process of learning, things are gonna go a little sideways. They still do for me, and I've been weaving for almost 2 decades now. So ask yourself as you find the threading error, you're like, okay, is this gonna make me crazy? If the answer is yes, please go back and redo it. If the answer is no, friend, leave it in. Just, write it off as you are still learning. So there's really just the two scenarios. If you have small things, do not forget to pull out your replacement heddle so that you can easily make those changes and no one would ever know there was a problem. However, if it is a sign of a bigger shift in the entire sequencing for your project, you may want to stop and go back through and fix the threading for your project. So let me know, do you use replacement heddles often? I have to say, I don't use them all the time, but when I need them, I need them. So it's a very, very good thing to have around. If you haven't made a few for yourself, take this as a sign. All right, friends, have a wonderful week. Happy weaving.